warm welcome to those of you who have recently joined. And we're here, of course, celebrating Janmashtami, but also the fact that His Holiness Giriraj Swami is here. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for coming into our orbit. We also feel greatly honored that our esteemed rabbi has come here on this day and made it very special for all of us. Thank you very much for joining. I couldn't help but overhearing the conversation on my way in, and really appreciated your questions. In fact, I just recently finished writing something about questions, and one of the directives in the paper was about how questions are the answer. There's a way in which questions can open up private places. They're almost like a hook. They can start our journey somewhere very special. In fact, the word question comes from the root word quest, which when we look in the etymological dictionary points to a quest to find the Holy Grail. And it's that sacred, the question, and especially when it relates to finding out the ultimate purpose of life and how to execute it. So your question that you asked at the end about how we would become whole and what is the practical application of Krishna consciousness, it stimulated to think about a practical way that we could all try something together, and that is perhaps another kirtan at this point. Does that sound sanguine?
Just by the way, the name of his book is The Four Questions.
Nobody gets it. You know what?
We get it. Yeah, the Jewish people get it because
I figured that out after I...
Yeah, it's part of the Passover service, the Four Questions.
Yeah. I found that. So we'll start off with a prayer to the founder Acharya, our spiritual master who has started this movement, the Krishna consciousness movement in the West, and then another prayer to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most recent avatar. Avatar means one who descends to this world from a higher level to a context in which we can appreciate him and take help. He appeared about 500 years ago to teach the tenets of Bhagavad Gita in such a way that we could follow them, something practical. And then we'll chant this mantra called the Maha Mantra that has the names of the Supreme written in vocative form. So it's a kind of an outcry. The way if you walk by the high school near where I live, it's called Burlingame High School. And if you go by there when school's letting out, mostly when it's just let out and there's groups of kids standing on the corner, and if I go by, I normally hear, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." And the Hare Krishna, Hare is a cry out from the heart. Hare Krishna, oh my God, oh my God. And it's the natural tendency of the soul to cry out for God and to want to be connected with God. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that this very visceral experience of singing God's names together transcends all culture. There are many names of God, he said, Nam Namakari Bahuda, Nija Sarva Shaktis. God has unlimited names, and according to the culture, time, one can sing these names together with the community and feel a wholeness by enacting what's very natural for us, which is to call out for help to the Supreme and to express gratitude to the Supreme. So shall we try it? Okay. Thanks everyone for joining us from all over Silicon Valley, and I see people coming from other states as well, recognizing people in the audience from Iowa, Texas, New York City, Japan, representing Japan coming in from various places. Thank you very much. We'll be here all night, so if you're listening online, get on down here, bring your friends. We have shuttle parking. There's plenty of time left to come here. We'll be singing the night through, and midnight we'll have a grand style celebration just at the strike of midnight, which is the time that Krishna appeared in the world. So we time it perfectly for that. And we've been here since early this morning, since 4:30 a.m. was our first service. Very much appreciated, I'm sure, by our very gracious neighbors who we warn every year ahead of time, and also we do pass out generous gifts before it starts. One of the key practices of Krishna consciousness is to hear from what's called Shastra. Shastra means holy scripture, and in Sanskrit it has a dual meaning. Depending on how you pronounce it, there's Shastra and Shastra. And Shastra means a sword. And as those who have made even a cursory study of world history know, there's been plenty of encouragements by the sword around the world by various groups saying, please do it our way. And the please isn't necessarily there, the sword is. That's Shastra. Shastra, on the other hand, is the word of the Supreme, comes down through oral tradition and then in writing. And it gives a path forward one may follow so that one can avoid the Shastra. In other words, you could do this the easy way or the hard way. So, one of the famous books of the world known to be universally applicable, appreciated by great scholars from every culture is the Bhagavad Gita. Originally in Sanskrit, highly refined language, which is an indicator of the culture from which it comes. And a practice that Śrīla Prabhupāda, our founder, encouraged was to recite a chapter a day. And by simply reciting it, hearing it, one would get great inspiration from the words of Krishna recorded there, from a time when he spoke the Bhagavad Gita over 5,000 years ago. So, Kṛṣṇa Gopi, do you concur? Would you like to put up one chapter of the Bhagavad Gita and we could recite it together? Martha, does that sound okay? So what we'll do is we'll put up the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the English section, translation, and we can all say it together, and then you're covered for today. We do have an app that goes with this. It's called Chapter a Day. Actually, it's called Be a Sage, page by page. But we do have a website called chantchad.com. I think that's what it's called. Chad stands for Chapter a Day. And here at Silicon Valley, we highly recommend that everyone adopt this practice. It doesn't take you more than 7 minutes a day, sometimes 12, 15 minutes. And just by reciting the chapter aloud, even if you feel a little brain dead, beginning or the end of the day, due to circumstances, has that ever happened to anybody? Just a little bit? 3 people only? Okay. If you simply get in the habit, develop the muscle memory for picking up the Bhagavad Gita and then reading it to yourself, do yourself a favor. and read it out loud and listen, you'll experience a revival starting with the intellect. And then, as Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita itself, the intelligence which has been fortified by hearing from the scripture becomes much more reasonable. He says in the Bhagavad Gita at the end of the 3rd chapter, Indriyani priyanyahur indriyebhya param manaha manasastu parabhudhir yo bude paratasusa. Lowest of all are the senses. Above the senses is the mind. Above the mind is the intellect. And above the intellect is the soul proper. And if our intelligence becomes corrupted, then it's a wild ride for the soul, being dragged here and there by the mind, senses, and a corrupted intelligence can get into all kinds of mischief. So to fortify the intelligence, which is the recommendation of Krishna himself at the end of the 3rd chapter, where he says, Evam buddhi param buddva samstabhyatmanamatmana jahishatram mahabaho kamarupam darasadam. And that is, stand and fight by informing your intelligence of what is the priority in life, and becoming very clear. Then you have a fortress from which to fight against the complexities of the world. So here we have, on the Jumbotron, the Bhagavad Gita as is, chapter 7, Knowledge of the Absolute, Vijñāna Yoga, which means knowledge applied. And shall we try together? Okay, neatness counts, and no need to rush. We'll go through it, observing the punctuation, especially the commas and the periods. I don't know what else there is. And if we make a slight pause at the commas and a little bit more of a pause at the periods, we should stay in sync. It's not as easy in English as it is in Sanskrit, right? But we'll try. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Now hear, O Sanaprita, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, altogether these 8 constitute my separated material energies. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mine, which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. All created beings have their source in these 2 natures. Of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether and ability in man. I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat in fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penances of all ascetics. O Sanaprita, know that I am the original seed of all existences, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the prowess of all powerful men. I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am sex life which is not contrary to religious principles. O Lord of the Bharatas, Arjuna. Know that all states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am, in one sense, everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me. Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. O best of the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. Of these, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best, for I am very dear to him, and he is dear to me. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in knowledge of me I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me, the highest and most perfect goal. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. I am in everyone's heart as the Supersoul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. O Scion of Bharat, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arisen from desire and hate. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities. Those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material manifestation, of the demigods, and of all methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. And now, we'll pick one verse that you'd like to hear more about, and I'll read the purport given by Śrīla Prabhupāda. It's a democracy, you get to vote. Which verse do you want to hear? Give a number. 1 through 30. 30. Okay, the ballots are in, it's 30. Yes. Oh yeah, it's time for Abhishek. Now, we're going with the flow. It's time for Abhishek. Abhishekam Maharaj. So if you'd like, you can turn yourselves towards the deities. We'll continue to chant, but you can observe as you wish. It's good any time of day. Friend and godbrother of mine last year, during the appearance day of our spiritual master, Śrīla Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, had said that oftentimes people think that our founder Acharya and our spiritual master appearance day comes the day after Krishna's appearance day. But he opined that actually it comes 1 year before Krishna's appearance day. And this is a philosophical point that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes when he speaks about good fortune. And he quotes a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam that was also quoted by Akrura. Akrura talked about how as lost souls, those in the material world who are wandering or loitering means you have nowhere better to go. Wandering means you don't know where you're going. They're like logs floating down a river endlessly and waiting to come to shore. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes a verse from the Bhagavatam when he's teaching his disciple, Srila Sanatana Goswami, saying that when one's material existence comes to an end, then one comes in contact with pure devotees. And in the commentary given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Srila Jiva Goswami, they concur that this is an instance of atishayokti. It's a device in the highly refined aesthetics of the Sanskrit language, which means that in order to emphasize the power of a cause, you state the effect first. The real truth is, says Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he quotes Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastra Koi Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Siddhi means perfection comes by meeting a pure devotee. And does it take long? No, he says, even if it's for a fraction of a second. Lava matra means maybe something like a 14th of a second. If you can measure that on your Apple Watch, you'll know how long it takes to plant the seed of devotional service by meeting a pure devotee. And so, Śrīla Prabhupāda came to give Krishna consciousness to the world, and His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj was pointing out his Bhagavad Gita as it is has been very successful in turning people to devotional service. I personally had an interest in spiritual life when I was in school, and I wanted to find out the purpose of life and why I had to die. That had been an obsession of mine since I was in kindergarten, as I didn't like that President Kennedy got assassinated. I thought, if this is the way things are going to go, then I got to figure a way out of this. It wasn't until high school that I was introduced to the Bhagavad Gita by a friend who handed it to me as a Christmas present. It was just a small Bhagavad Gita with translations. And I read it over and over and over again. It was the most edifying, fascinating, exhilarating of all experiences I've ever had in my life. And then a friend of mine brought me a magazine called Back to Godhead. That Back to Godhead magazine had been started by the founder of the Krishna conscious movement when he was by himself in India. His guru had given him an instruction when he visited him, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our Param Guru, in Sri Radhakund. He was a householder at the time, or at least he was a Vanaprastha, and he had asked his Guru Maharaj, you have so many sannyasi and brahmachari disciples who are always around you. How can I get some service? What can I do for you? And his guru told him that if you ever get money, you should print books. He said, this is the business of the acharyas and the great souls, is to do good for others. It's also mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the pastime of churning the ocean of milk. Remember when the Devas and the Asuras, using Mandara mountain and Vasuki as a rope, had churned the ocean of milk? The first thing that came out was poison, deadly poison. The whole universe was threatened, its very existence. So Shiva, who's all-powerful and also unlimitedly compassionate to save the world, had quaffed that poisonous ocean, held it in his throat. That's why he's called Nilakanta. And commenting on Lord Shiva's valorous act, Shukadeva Goswami says, Tapyante lokatapena sarava prayasojana parama aradanam tadhi purushasya kilatmana. That is, the best service to the Supreme is to take some trouble on one's self, in one's own life, in order to uplift others to spiritual consciousness. And this was the mood of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, because one of his disciples, who was extremely wealthy, had built a temple in Calcutta for him, painstakingly, so much so, this is the very definition of painstaking, that just before it opened, he expired. As he spent not only all his treasury, this loyal disciple, but he also, if you've ever built something, before, you know it's the most stressful of all situations. More decisions to make per hour than in any other endeavor in life. And this was a magnificent temple, still is a magnificent temple made of marble. Previously, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and his followers had lived in a place called Ultadanga. And in fact, their original ashrama is there at Ultadanga Junction Road in Calcutta. I recommend you go there because it's been restored to its pristine original condition, and won an award for restoration in India, the best restoration that they've ever seen. And you can see there the place where Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and his small group of devotees had lived, sleeping in very simple situation on the floor. It was, at that time, a rundown area. However, the spirit was high. All of the devotees that lived there were following their Guru Maharaj in his spirit of helping others by reaching out to them, going door to door, going street to street, going to conferences, teaching about Krishna consciousness vigorously, even though they had very little money or resources at that time. And when they had moved to the bigger place, this magnificent marble temple, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the guru of our guru, had said, when he heard that some of the residents were arguing over which room was theirs and which room belonged to others based on an idea of entitlement, who had been here longer, he said, we were better off in Ultadanga. And he told our Guru Maharaj, I would like to take the marble from that temple and sell it to print some books. Because the books go into people's homes and they're their hands, and then they read them and their lives become turned. And that's what happened to me. It just so happens that Śrīla Prabhupāda took up that order. In fact, when he came to America, he was all alone. Actually, it's not true. He brought with him the Srimad Bhagavatam. He had waited till he had published the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam in 3 volumes. He brought it in trunks, several hundred sets. But he had no money, he had no other resources. And while he was in India, to start publishing books as requested by his guru, he had printed the Back to Godhead magazine, his own creation. The printer reported later, when Satsvarup Maharaj was writing a biography of Śrīla Prabhupada, that Prabhupada had come there regularly, walking next to a rickshaw with a ream of paper on it, because it's very heavy and you can't carry it yourself. And he would save money by walking himself, but when he went to print the Back to Godhead magazine, he would pay for the rickshaw to carry the paper there. His cloth was torn. He would somehow sew it together and keep it presentable. But he used all of his money to print the Back to Godhead magazine. And then he personally distributed it. He went shop to shop, door to door, street to street, and offered people an opportunity to read about transcendental knowledge. And you can see all the original copies of the Back to Godhead magazine. They were topical. Prabhupada wrote about many subject matters. One of them at that period was entitled, No Time, Chronic Disease of Modern Man. Because wherever he'd go to talk about Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, or present the Back to Godhead magazine, no time. So he coined it, chronic disease of modern man, no time. Even nowadays, when we go to the street to distribute Bhagavad Gita, if we're standing near a stoplight and the light changes and it says they can walk, I have to go. Why? Because it just changed. So when Prabhupada came to America, he brought his Bhagavatams with him, and on the Jaladuta, which is the boat, ship rather, that he took, it's a cargo ship, not a passenger ship, he brought his cargo with him. And before he got off the boat, some people say the history is that he only had 7 rupees with him, but actually he had $20, because before he disembarked from the Jaladuta, he had sold 1 set of the Srimad Bhagavatam to the captain of the Jaladuta. Haribol. And when customs asked him, what's with all the books? He said, oh, these are gifts. So they let him through. And the Scindia Steamship Company had their own storage in New York City, so he was able to keep them there long enough until he had found a few devotees who wanted to join him. 2 of them were Brahmananda and Gargamuni. And Brahmananda told me that they had gone there with Prabhupada to the storage lockers, and he sat and watched as they tied the 3-volume sets together with string so they could take them out as Saptarishis, I guess. And then, as Prabhupada's movement, fledgling movement, got a little bit of money. In fact, there were a few devotees here and there who were charged with collecting something so that Prabhupada could buy a house. And the first property in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, now there are thousands of temples all over the world, but the first property that was ever purchased, and that was with great endeavor with several groups of devotees in various parts of North America trying their hardest to collect some small donations, but they pooled them together. And when they had enough, they bought a place in Boston, Massachusetts, on Beacon Street. And the reason that Prabhupada chose that house specifically was because it was to house the printing press. His guru told him at Radhakund, if you ever get money, print books. In India, that's what he did. Any money he had, he spent for printing the Back to Godhead magazine, for publishing the first volume, the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam before he came to America. And when he got to America, the first significant pool of money that he got, he invested in a house. The floor had to be reinforced to hold the weight of the printing press. And this was following exactly in the footsteps of his guru. We had gone several years ago on our yearly yatra to Calcutta. And the first time I had visited the Bagh Bazaar, that's the big temple I told you about, made of marble. My main interest was I wanted to see the printing presses that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta used because they were famous. Śrīla Prabhupāda had told us that he placed the printing presses alongside the altar where the deities were kept because he worshipped them as the Brihat Madanga, that is the greater Madanga that would give people an opportunity to take the spiritual life by printing books, the printing press. So when we arrived there, some of the residents there, all of the residents, none of the residents spoke English, they spoke Bengali. But Hansapriya, who's here running the festival, she's a tough negotiator. She wasn't taking no for an answer. She kept pushing until she found a senior member of the mutt and told him that there's a disciple of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He wants to meet you and he wants to see the printing press. Because there was no printing press available. We couldn't see anything. So when he came, and he understood that I had just written a book about it. Either that or was just writing the book, I can't remember. And he agreed that he would show me the printing press, but only a couple devotees could come. We had 100 there. And he took me up in what was to become and is now a museum. And on the top of that museum, which was unfinished at the time, so they were a little careful about showing it to everybody, I came out on the 3rd floor and I saw the printing press in the middle of the room, cluttered with lots of other artifacts that they were putting together, curating. And I offered my obeisances to the printing press, just as Prabhupada had done at Beacon Street when he saw the first printing press. And then I walked around the back of it and I looked, and it said, embossed in brass, Cleveland, Ohio. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had spared no expense. He went around the world and found, we looked it up, the best printing press of the time, best technology. And he shipped it all the way from Cleveland, Ohio to Calcutta, several of them, in fact, in order to produce literature so that people could read it in their house, in their car, and their lives could be changed. So when I received the Back to Godhead magazine, and my life was instantly changed because I recognized right away, I had read scores of books trying to find the truth, and they all seemed to equivocate. He said, you are God, but pray. And I thought, then who am I praying to? I'm praying to myself. But in this magazine, it said, pray to Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You're his eternal servant. What's more, I saw in the pictures in the magazine young people who had dedicated their life to this kind of service. And they looked happy. So the mission of Śrīla Prabhupāda was always to make sure that people all over the world could come in contact with this experience of Janmashtami. Janmashtami doesn't mean just one day of the year where we celebrate Krishna's appearance or birth. But it means an awakening of Krishna consciousness within the heart. This is the true Janmashtami. As Giriraj Swami was reading, Vasudeva was effulgent because Krishna had entered to his mind and his heart, and he transferred Krishna to the heart of Devaki. So our Krishna consciousness movement and the purpose of this center here is to reach out all over the Bay Area to give people an opportunity in their own homes. Because although I think this is one of the most attended of festivals we have in the year, for sure, but this Janmashtami, just from estimating how many are coming in tonight, maybe one of the largest we've had. Last year, about 12,000 people came. And oftentimes, when people are here, before we have everything set up and we say 12,000 people came here, they say, how's that possible? It says 216 occupied. So we go from this temple, as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had asked Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada had asked us, to go out into the greater Bay Area, house to house. We go regularly, every weekend. Dozens, hundreds of us go out, and we go to the Haight-Ashbury. You know where that is? Only 2 people know the Haight-Ashbury? You look at these flowers, they're tie-dye. That should tell you something. The Haight-Ashbury, we go to Cupertino, we go to art and wine festivals. We'll go anywhere just to insert the message of Krishna through transcendental literatures into people's lives. And this little temple, which is almost exclusively householders who live outside and work very hard, but give their might, put their might behind this effort to distribute literature all over the Bay Area. This little dwelling we live in here with Krishna has become a mighty force in distributing transcendental literatures all over the world. Last year, alone in book receipts, we collected about over $800,000 selling books. And there's a score kept around the world. There's a newsletter that measures how many books that these thousands of ISKCON temples distribute around the world. And this little temple is, if you've ever heard in your childhood the story, The Little Engine That Could. Oh, you didn't read that one. He said, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And a little engine made it up the hill. We've worked at this for many, many years together, and this has become one of the most prolific of all the centers around the world for distributing literature. So we invite everyone who feels a need to help the world. Giriraj Swami earlier had read a passage, a purport, where Prabhupada was a little more than nudging those from India, that this is your legacy, to spread, to become ambassadors of goodwill. At Prabhupada, when he came to London for the first time, the reporters said, why did you come here? And Prabhupada said that, well, you had been in our country for a couple hundred years, and you took so many things. In fact, the museums are full of some of the most valuable jewels and artifacts from India. Practically from another point of view, the country was plundered in many ways. And Prabhupada said, but you forgot one thing. You forgot the real value and jewel of India, which is Bhagavad Gita and the transcendental knowledge. That you forgot. So he said, you took so many things, and now I came to give you what you forgot to take. And as Giriraj Maharaj pointed out, in transcendental mathematics, the more you give, the more you grow. In fact, it's said in poetical language in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu madly distributed Krishna consciousness to others. In fact, they use the word lute, which is Bengali for loot. And if you've ever seen a riot where people loot the stores, they smash open the windows, and just in a very crazy state of mind, they carry away whatever they can grab. And so the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita mentions that the members of the Panchatattva, they broke open the proverbial storehouse of love of God. They tasted its contents and they distributed it to everyone, not caring who is a fit or unfit candidate. And the more they distributed it, the more the contents increased. So this is the mood of the Krishna consciousness movement. We want that everyone gets an opportunity to take advantage of transcendental literature, wherever they may live, because books are beloved in human society and they don't go away. If anyone's ever handed you a book and you think, oh, I'll never read that, and you still have it after 7 years sitting somewhere in your house, that's how much staying power books have. What to speak if it's a sacred book? People will put it somewhere, and when the time is right, they'll read it. So I wanted to just let you in on the inside of our community here, that we're very much dedicated to distributing Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. We distribute through motels and hotels under the guidance of Mayapur Vihari Prabhu, who is a spiritual entrepreneur. Almost 1 million Bhagavad Gitas now we've placed in hotels and motels. thanks to the Gujaratis of the world. And especially the Patels. What's more, this year we're on pace worldwide to distribute at least 55,000 sets, not just here, but worldwide. We have a worldwide organization, as you know, and we're organized and coordinated to distribute books together. And our goal this year is to distribute at least 55,000 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam in this one little center where we have about 300 kids, most of them in diapers, has a goal to distribute at least 3,000 sets of Srimad Bhagavatams. Just as Prabhupada brought them on the Jaladuta, and he went to great pains to do that, we also challenge ourselves to take the pains to do what he did, to walk and carry, let the books ride, and then bring them out to the people. So we invite anyone who wants to do good for the world, who wants to affect change in a systemic way, arguably the distribution of literature. We can see from ideas which have embedded themselves in societies, cultures all over the world, like Darwinism came from a book. I'll bet none of you have that book at home right now or in your car, but I'll bet you've heard of the theory of evolution. And so have millions of people all over the world because someone took the time to write a book. So when the Bhagavad Gita goes out into the world, it makes a difference. There's idea seeds that come out and they embed themselves in people's hearts. And we invite everyone who would like to contribute their time, energy, their love for India's greatest jewel, the Bhagavad Gita, or the Srimad Bhagavatam, to take part. You can ride along with those who are going out and watch what they do. You can contribute in various ways to help sponsor books that will go out. We also place books in small villages in India. You may know that the mainstay of India is its villages, its rural environment. And there are literally tens of thousands of those in India, and many of them are being lost now. The culture that has been there for thousands of years now is being distorted and overrun by other ideologies, people who systematically go to propagate various other ideas. And so we've started a great campaign to place Bhagavatam sets in each one of those villages in India. And the results have been amazing. There are educational centers there where the Bhagavatam, once it goes in, then the people of the village all come to read the Bhagavatam, and we have videos of the people all gathering together and hearing from the Srimad Bhagavatam, just like we did tonight. And just as we had our guru here, Giriraj Swami, reading to all of us, they'll have a village guru who's reading from the Bhagavatam, and everyone's sitting around and taking advantage of this nectarian sound vibration that comes from the spiritual world. So we've placed thousands of sets in individual villages, and now we have a pipeline to South America where people can't afford these books. We have them in Spanish. We have them in several other languages, and we're sending them out to the world. So that's one of our core missions here. And also, we invite you to come to our regular programs. We have programs throughout the week, online, on Zoom, and also here in the temple. Please come. We need you. We need your association. We should all stick together. Big towns and cities, everyone lives together. Why? Oh, so we can be together. Not to exploit one another, but to work together to do good for human society. So if we're going to take the pains to sit in a big city, tolerate the noise and the traffic, we might as well take that opportunity also to come together and put our combined effort into a cause that can do good for the world. What is your opinion? The good dresser over here with the chatter. What do you think? The glasses and the chatter. Give him a microphone. I want to hear what he thinks. What is your name?
Taptahima Gordas.
So what do you think of these ideas?
Definitely we should follow the path shown by the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Prabhupada, and we should go ahead with book distribution, and whatever we can do, serve Guru, Gauranga and Vaishnavas to distribute all the books throughout the world.
When a very advanced and clean-looking sattvic, Shuddha sattvic devotee speaks, we should listen. So let's follow what he said. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So now we have a few minutes. We're counting down the time until we greet Krishna. Yes, Maharaj, please.
In one letter to me, Śrīla Prabhupāda wrote, "Go on increasing books and go on increasing my pleasure."
Mm-hmm. This is one of the secrets of spiritual life, as mentioned in the Bhagavatam. Shushrusho shradhanasya vasudeva katarushi syan mahatseveya viprapunya tirtana shevana. When you do service for great souls, then you develop a natural affinity for Krishna consciousness. And Rishabhadeva said to his sons, Mahatsevam dvaravahurva muktes tamodram yoshitam sangi sangam mahantas te samachita prasanta vimanyavak surida sadhavoye. Said, if you want to know where the door to liberation is, find a sadhu, find a person totally dedicated to spiritual life, and then do some service. Mahatsevam. Said that opens the door to you for your liberation, to come to the highest stage of consciousness. So our movement is based on serving the Guru Parampara, the instruction that's been passed down to us. That's why we have our Guru sitting on this Vyasasana. He's representing his Guru who sat on a Vyasasana. It's representative movement, passing down the same instruction. It's open for anyone to take and say, yes, I'm going to do something also to serve these great acharyas and also to help the people of the world who are hapless at this point. So now we have 20 minutes before we have the final arti of the night. And it's been a heartfelt experience today, hasn't it? All of us together. And just having the time together, take a little time to chant Hare Krishna, to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and so forth. So I thought it'd be nice for us to warm up for the arti tonight by singing a song that comes from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in which our spiritual master sang before every class he gave on the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this song, called Jai Radha Madhava, has the names of the various deities that the great Acharya Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to worship. And it's deeply meaningful because it's a heartfelt song about the names of Krishna in the spiritual world and his relationships with his devotees. Would you like to sing it? Yes. Okay, 3 people would like to sing it. Everybody else, you have to go outside, wait outside. Okay, all right. Everyone please move forward by exactly 7.2 inches. Any less than that, you'll have to deal with the wrath of Sri Gopal. Jaya Radha Madhava Gopi Jannara Special announcement. We have an honorary guest who has arrived, and we'd like to introduce him to you and welcome him. Please give the microphone to Sri Krishna Purushottam.
Hare Krishna. We'd like to welcome Ritesh Tandon, who is running for Congress, and he's a community leader.
Haribol everyone. Prabhuji, this is, as you said, this is my house. And always, I like to be here. I have got so much love from the community, from everyone. I'm so blessed and honored. And today, during this auspicious moment, I can say that nothing can beat with so many people right here, with all the devotees, with the heart. I'm very blessed and honored to be here. And thank you so much, Prabhuji, for always keeping me and keeping me in the mind. Thank you so much. And thank you.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to say that if someone attains an important position in society, a king, senator, congressman, this is an empowered position. You can't do that without the help of Krishna. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to say that when we have high court judges, congress people who are also attending Janmashtami, and in a heartfelt way appreciating that the goal of life is to attain to spiritual consciousness and come back to Krishna, then real change will happen in society. So we're deeply grateful that you come here to the event, and thank you for all that you're doing to help affect change in the world, in the position that you're in. Hare Krishna. We just have 9 minutes left, but I want to hear from you what we experienced tonight. We'll take a couple. Not a long explanation, but just tell one realization, especially if you're a guest here and you don't come here regularly, semi-regularly is okay. What's been your experience coming here tonight? How do you feel? What are you thinking? What did you realize? What are you taking away? But we don't have much time, so you can't think about it. You just got to go. You're smiling, you go. Mataji, you have a good smile, you can go. Okay, go.
Experience is simply divine. There are no words, especially when you all are singing the Krishna shlokas, though I need to see the screen to understand the explanation. But I'm really enjoying it. It's the first time I'm coming to this temple, and I think this journey will continue.
Okay. We need more. This is too nice. Yes, right behind you.
It has been simply ecstatic, and
Hold it close.
It has been simply ecstatic, and I have never felt more energetic. Even though I was fasting today, I had more energy than my regular days. So,
Here's your chance. Speak up on Janmashtami. Just have a couple minutes left. Sharing means caring. There he is, right there. Okay, 1, 2. We'll come right back to you.
Yeah, in one word, I feel home because
Home.
Yeah, I'm from South India, and this festival I always used to be at home, but like I miss those days. But like when I come here, I feel home.
Well, to us, your family. So please.
Yeah, the thing is like.
No, I said to us, you are family.
Oh yeah.
Please come back.
I really feel grateful. Thanks for that.
Okay. This is Prabhu over here.
Prabhuji Pranam. I stay very close to Vrindavan. I came last year also. I came this year also. So this is my आपका बहुत बड़ा आशीर्वाद.
The Vrajabashis are sneaking in here. Come on. Haribol.
Haribol.
Okay. Time for 2 more only. Go volunteer before I call on somebody. Yeah, you've been here all night. Yeah.
It's been an amazing experience. This is my first time here, and last 1.5 hours was really amazing, so relaxing, so refreshing, chill. So yeah, I'll continue this journey.
Thank you. We noticed you. There's some effulgence coming from your area there. Okay. Take your chance. Be brave. There she is, right back there, straight back.
Hi, yeah, I'm from London and I just moved here, and this is my first time celebrating in California, and it's really nice to be in the present. I can feel the energy. It's very nice. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much for coming. Great to have you. Who gets the last word? We only have time for one more. Who wants the last word? Quick, there's only like a few seconds left. There he is. Hey.
It's been an amazing experience. It's my first time here, and when we were doing the pujas and everything, I just felt really involved, and it felt like a nice home, and we were all working together.
You look like some kind of demigod. You should definitely he should definitely be here. Thank you for coming. Okay. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to, in a moment, move all the asanas that are still on the floor to the back of the room. We'll put them neatly so there's no obstruction on the floor. And then we'll all stand up and face the altar. And then we're going to have the evening arti that's going to go for about 25 minutes. And right after that, we'll make our exodus. I say mass exodus, right out the door. And we'll be missing all of you because it's been an unforgettable experience being together this sacred day. And the only thing that can heal our hearts from this separation if you all come back again as soon as possible, okay? Please say yes. Come see us before a year's up, maybe next week even. It would be nice to have you here. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's do a mass experiment and see if we can move everything out of the way and get in front of the altar in the next 3 minutes. Anything you see that someone can trip over or step on, move it away. Let's get it off the floor.